Hey everyone, and welcome to our Clips and Highlights channel. If you want to keep up with everything Kyle and I have going on, make sure you subscribe to the main Grinding Gear YouTube channel, which is where we actually do these streams. That's right, we stream right here on YouTube. Oh, and sub to the Grinding Gear podcast. Apple, Google, Spotify, really any podcast platform. We're probably there. Thanks. Kyle, you didn't tell people what we're reacting to, you monster.
Why would I have told them? We were going to watch Jesse's Endsinger vs. Jailer video.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, today is, it's Total Reborn Live. It's the day of many requests.
I just want a little time here. I want to get my time frame on. This was made December 11th of 2022.
December 11th, 2022. Okay.
This would have been following patch 6.2. So we're basically watching this at the time period it came out.
So I was playing 14 and I was very, very done and mad about Shadowlands at this point in time.
But 2020. Wait. Yeah, this was before Dragonflight came out, right? So Shadowlands was still modern.
Sure.
Dragonflight's release date was November 2022. Okay, so Dragonflight been out for a month when this video posted?
Seems like it.
Interesting.
That sounds about right. I remember having a very unsuccessful Dragonflight stream in November.
All right. Are you prepared?
I am prepared.
Here we go.
Hey everyone, it's been a year since Endsinger came out.
Hi, Jesse.
And the newest World of Warcraft expansion is here,
Oh.
so I shouldn't have to say spoiler warning, but I'm gonna do it anyway. The following video contains some pretty big spoilers for Final Fantasy XIV Endwalker and World of Warcraft Shadowlands, because this video is about the final bosses of these expansions and how on paper they appear to be the exact same thing. I'm sure some of you are aware of that Final Fantasy XIV versus World of Warcraft video I made last year. And as a fan of both WoW and FF14, for, to be honest, entirely different reasons, I still find myself comparing the two from time to time, what one does well compared to the other and vice versa. And if you've ever seen a stream or Let's Play of mine, you know I am a fan of tropes. I love them. I love being able to see them coming from a mile away. It's honestly how I end up guessing the plot to most of the things I play, and it's why I love a good mystery.
We get along with
I think yes, we both have a fondness for tropes.
Yep.
And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, a trope is a common convention in a particular medium. Something used enough to be recognized as that thing. Storytelling uses tropes all the time, and these two games love their tropes. Things like the enemy of my enemy trope, the tragic villain trope, the magic is a monster magnet trope, or one of my favorites, the chivalrous pervert trope. All of these are examples of tropes, and there are so...
You don't say. I like it too. Bold of him.
Listen, you can't just be a pervert.
Yeah.
You're gonna need some other...
You gotta have other things going for you.
Gotta have another factor.
So many tropes. And yeah, I enjoy some more than others. One of the ones I've never been a fan of, but MMOs love to do, is the true final boss, or man behind the man, or greater scope villain trope. All of which can really just be summed up like this. You arrive at the final boss of a video game, and as you do a battle, they say something along the lines of like, "You fools, all this evil stuff I've been doing is actually to prevent..."
Wow.
Could you pause for a second?
I want you to enjoy whatever's going on.
Who's on...
I don't know who that is, but I assume
Who's on
you
the
know.
thigh wizard?
Yeah.
I know everyone. I can't make out.
Because there's your soul that you like to call.
Whose face is that? Is it?
It's some old face?
It's Mike? Okay. All right. It's Mike
another
Herman.
drug lord in your drug movie?
Mike is one of the best characters in all of Breaking Bad. He was also one of the cops in the original Gremlins movie. Is the same actor.
Huh.
Yeah. The one who goes, "Hey, he's a patriotic little fellow, ain't he?" When Gizmo's sitting on that desk waving the American flag. That's the same actor as Mike in Breaking Bad. Yeah. Okay. This tracks. As a Breaking Bad fan, I am satisfied. You may hit play again.
All right. Thigh wizard, continue.
Something much worse from happening, and that worst guy, you don't even know him yet, but he's terrible. And then, depending on the scope of the game, the guy either shows up right then as the form of something totally insane, or in the case of most MMORPGs, they become the focus of the next expansion. I think it's safe to say we've all seen this before, and it drives me crazy, because I've always thought it just seems like they were kicking the narrative can down the road. But I will admit, it is a great and easy hook to get people invested on what's to come next. But with that said, it can get very stale very quick, which is why I'm very much over it. So when both Final Fantasy XIV and World of Warcraft Shadowlands release expansions where the villain we start chasing at the beginning turns out not to be the final boss of the expansion, but instead is that other even worse thing. In this case, the Endsinger and the Jailer. Two characters that we know nothing about.
Sylvanas' fan Daniel?
I hate you.
I mean, he made the allusions to it.
We're about to enter a game where we have zero connection to the villain, and even worse, don't really know or care about their motivations. And yes, that was the case with Shadowlands. So then how the hell did Final Fantasy XIV make it work? Well, let's start with the baseline of Shadowlands. When you look at what they're trying to do, it seems like a creative outing. Just the very concept of setting your expansion in the afterlife is a pretty huge undertaking. And going into the expansion, we're dealing with an enemy who's undead, Sylvanas. Spent the previous expansion.
Yes.
I
Do you not like...
I think I hate Shadowlands too much to not just sit here and be triggered the whole time.
Okay. All right, I'll help you.
I'm just getting angry.
You can guide me, because I noped out the second I saw World of Warcraft claiming that they could pull off something so large and so nuanced. And
Oh man, I just hate Shadowlands.
What's your opinion on this guy? You like him? You love you big
the guy the game forgot existed?
Nathanios? What's his name?
Nathanos? Yeah, I like
Nathanos. Yeah.
Nathanos' backstory is you know how like there's that cottage industry of subgenre of making content about fandoms, and it's the rat race of who can make the video about the darkest subject, but also like make the thumbnail and the title really play up just how dark it is to get the edgelords to watch your shit.
Oh yeah, I've listened to Warhammer lore videos. Yeah.
Yes, everyone who's ever made anything about Warhammer, which I think is hilarious, because like you should actually be there for fucking Lizardmen, because they're ridiculous and they're the best thing about all of Warhammer. But no, Nathanos is like actually one of the darkest fucking things that has ever been in World of Warcraft, and I love him for that.
And murdering her way through Azeroth and pissing everyone off, except you, Undercity fans. I see you. As the story progressed, it was very clear something more was going on. There was something happening behind the scenes. She had a dark master, but she still claimed that she was doing her evil deeds for a reason. And in the run-up to Shadowlands, it was revealed her dark master was the Jailer. Obviously, from my perspective, I think the entire thing ended up being a big failure. In an effort to have diverse zones.
Pause for a second. Yep. Agree. I want to agree audibly. It ended up being a big nothing burger. It's not. You can't reveal things that nobody knows. It's not a reveal if we're all like, who? Because that's the reaction to the. We're all like, who the fuck? Who's the Jailer? Why should I care? It's a reveal if it's a known quantity. That's surprising. It's confusing when you obscure something that doesn't need to be obscured because you don't know what it means. Sorry, you may continue.
Characters, we spent a lot of time focusing on stuff that I didn't feel was all that important. There didn't really seem to be a lot of cohesion between the zones, except for the Game of Thrones level politics happening between the leaders. And the stuff I did want to see more of and hopefully get answers to really wasn't delivered. I figured this expansion would give us a lot of Sylvanas' story, maybe even explain why everyone kept telling us that she was morally gray, but we didn't really get any of that. And by the time her story wrapped up, we didn't even get to see a reunion between her and Nathanos, right? Because the story quickly had to move on to explaining what the hell her boss was up to. A man who at that point in the story you've seen being evil in a few cutscenes, but is really still shrouded in mystery. We kind of know what he wants to do, but we don't know why. We don't know what his end goal is. It's really the quintessential problem with the true final boss or man behind the man trope. We're told by people
they failed to make us care. Like that, to me, that's the important part. It's like we're not even curious about the things we don't know, because the vast majority of people, they just failed to make you even care about it. That's why the absence of Nathanos feels so poignant, because you do care about that. There's a lot of people who are into the Sylvanas Nathanos lore and it feels like a gaping hole that wasn't addressed. But to me, I'm like, yeah, who gives a shit about the jailer, because he's not a compelling character.
I mean, it seems like
so
the heart of the issue is that, like, it's really cool ideas. There's some really metal shit that happens in the lore, and anger flows from that point of how could that not be good? Like Sylvanas being banished to run Torghast for the rest of her days, that's metal as hell.
Yeah.
But when you don't care, it just hurts. It's weird.
Yeah. Great job, by the way, by the mods. If you're gonna get into fanboy arguments, we will continue timing folks out. Just FYI, please be polite.
Oh yeah, no, this is all for fun.
Met, who we're told are important to go kill this guy because it's for the greater good. And that is pretty much what we do. We're still never really told why he's doing any of the things he's doing, but we know that he's going to rewrite reality, and it's our job to stop him. Once he's defeated, we're shown a very quick and pretty flimsy explanation of why he did what he did. But at that point, honestly, it's way too late. Apparently, he was once the arbiter of the afterlife, and decided the first one's creations were defective and unable to withstand the, yeah, you got it, greater scope villain to come. Yeah, that's right. The one true final boss who we've come to learn has orchestrated everything since the beginning of us playing. It's actually revealed that there is another something that's even worse than he is, and it's coming, and he was trying to be prepared for it, I guess, and now you, the player, have to stick around to the next expansion, I assume, in order to find out more. So yeah, that sucked, and it still sucks saying it out loud again, but it should at least be understandable why it sucks now. There was nothing at stake for the player. Sure, you're told there was, but I don't know anyone who found the jailer fight resonate with them on an emotional level other than, oh look, new loot. So then let's bring it back and ask again, how on earth could this increasingly lame trope end up so differently in Final Fantasy XIV?
Okay, did it do it though? Like, did Dragonflight do the next big bad, or are we still on the hook for that?
I think we're still on the hook for that.
Because I think they just kind of farted off and said, no, the whole new, I guess we're doing the sword thing with War Within. So
actually, yeah, like I actually don't know. Like, what the hell was I don't know what the jailer was teasing at, because I didn't. Everyone I trusted went, you're not going to care. And so I believed them, and I didn't dig any further.
I mean, at the time period, a lot of it was old gods talk, but it's always old god talk because that's what people get excited about.
But that's an old threat, not a bigger bad. That's a known quantity.
There's other big things. Yeah.
Just a void in general. And a void would make sense because they've been hinting at like a void versus the light war for forever. With some like flash forwards and shit. So, yeah. And Wibby makes a good point. Yeah, you're not wrong, Wibby. Yeah, WoW does skip. They do sometimes, they like hint at something and then they don't address it for entire expansions. You remember they teased Legion in Mists of Pandaria. But we didn't have Legion after Mists of Pandaria. We had Warlords of Draenor. But the Legion was very explicitly teased by who's hot dragon guy now. He was not a hot dragon guy at the time, but
Rathion.
Rathion shows up in Mists, and you like go into a room with him, and he shows the Legion hitting Azeroth. It's like this. It's a pretty cool little like side quest. It's easy to miss. I remember in the time being like, oh shit, the Legion's coming. And I thought it was going to be the next expansion. And then we had WoD, and needless to say, I was not impressed.
Well, before we even start, Final Fantasy XIV is a story-heavy game, unlike WoW. So the onus is on the 14 dev team to make this trope work. They've got more real estate in their game for storytelling, but still, it's not an easy trope to make good. So let's start with the previous expansion. Just like Battle for Azeroth, the story beats were being set up in Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers. In it, the villain mentions that the reasoning for all their schemes was that, long ago, their people were killed in a great calamity, and the cause was this mysterious song or sound
I was just agreeing.
From space. It warped their world, killed countless people, and only by creating their dark deity Zodiark, the same Zodiark we've been trying to fight since the beginning, Could they stop this mysterious song? But you know, it's still kind of an amorphous concept, a weird footnote that is really not delved into. And like Shadowlands, the plot of Endwalker is pretty straightforward. I mean, if you keep the end of Shadowbringers vague enough, it does kind of sound like BFA as well. The secret behind-the-scenes evil corrupting our world from the beginning has finally been defeated. The last villain, the one who's been in front of our face the entire time, who is essentially at this point our arch nemesis, has gone forth to create a battleground for one last epic showdown. And so even knowing it's a trap, we march forth into the unknown, and there the expansion begins. And for Final Fantasy XIV, instead of Sylvanas, it's Xenos. And we're all like, this asshole's gonna go merge with Zodiark and become some final villain. It seemed like a pretty easy theory craft. But when we, the player, finally stand face to face with Zodiark, everyone playing was asking the exact same question. Hold up, why are we doing this at level 83? We're not even halfway through the expansion. That's right, the game pulls the old switcheroo on you, and the big final boss we've been promised for 10 years is defeated. Oh, yeah. But remember that little tidbit about Zodiark being the thing that stopped the mysterious song? Well, it's back. And so early in the expansion, the story completely shifts its focus to stopping this mysterious force we've never met before, and honestly, pause for
a moment, because that was such a rad moment, because I had no clue what was happening. Just getting the black and white and the static and just being like, what? I'm sorry, what now? Excellent moment.
True.
And then bunnies, but you know.
Well, you know, yeah. I'm curious because he's doing a pretty big wrap up here. So let's see what happens.
They cared about. And this is when the Final Fantasy XIV team spends the next 20 hours of gameplay showing you why you should care. Sure, they take us to new places, we meet new characters, but the focus is returning to the places we know and love. The world you, the player, have been defending for a main game and 4 expansions is literally on fire. The same chaos that swallowed the world in the past is happening again. Except instead of just being told it happened, you're now seeing it happen in real time. People are dying, cities are burning, and those people who still live are wailing with despair to the point where they turn into literal monsters who then kill more and cause more destruction and then in turn create more monsters. It's absolutely terrible. But it isn't just the stakes we're shown, we're also shown why it's all happening to begin with. Our old enemies, the Ascians, which have been a thorn in our side from the beginning, long ago in the before times when they were known as the Ancients, beings of unlimited and unparalleled power, it was, unbeknownst to any of them, one of their own that set all of this in motion. You know, without getting way too into it, and there is a lot, imagine if you had unlimited power, lived forever, and every single thing you ever wanted, you could just will into being. It was a perfect utopia. But just like when you see a rich dude who's also really depressed, having it all doesn't mean that you're happy. And one ancient felt this very way. As he slipped further into depression, he decided to create a multiplicity of messengers, his little birds to fly across the stars in search of hope. Surely out there, somewhere amongst the stars, was his answer. Surely someone had found a reason for him to keep going.
And it went
and his little birds, these
and according to plan.
Absolutely.
Childlike beings of wonder were designed specifically with emotionality in mind. And in their mind, their whole objective was just to come back with some good news for Dad. And so these little bird children made of pure emotion venture off into the stars in order to find hope for a man who has none and run directly into the Fermi paradox. Now, if you don't know what the Fermi paradox is, I'm not going to deep dive it for you. Just go Google it. It's fascinating. But the general gist is, if the universe is very, very old and there are countless galaxies, and in those countless galaxies, countless worlds, then we most certainly would have seen some alien civilization. So why don't we? And the philosophical, scientific theory crafting begins from there. Trust me, read up on it. It falls directly into the existential dread category, and Final Fantasy XIV doesn't shy away from this. Yes, his creations do discover there's life out there. But the answer to the question of, is there hope for me out there? The answer isn't one that he's gonna like. Every single world and civilization, no matter how big or small or powerful, or collapsing or polluted or whatever, every single one was engulfed by hopelessness and despair.
There's Rala.
And realizing that there is no external hope or joy for their creator to bring back to him, they come to the conclusion that this is the fate of all living beings in the universe.
Okay. I didn't play Shadowlands. Is it that disconnected? Like, you had all these, you had realms, right? Like, there was the vampire realm, there was the Warhammer realm, there was the Fey realm thing going on.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of leaders.
Yep.
Was that not a representation like the dungeon did of different worlds that exist in death? Did it not culminate towards the jailer in any way?
I don't think it works to think of it like what we're looking at here in 14, because those are worlds that died, not worlds you go to when you die.
Okay.
So that's not really a comparison. But I didn't continue playing. I know at some point I think the leaders start talking to each other. But in the beginning, every zone was really its own contained story with entirely new characters. I know Jesse. We've talked about this with Jesse when we've had him on the channel before. So I know Jesse feels this way too. But for me, it was more like, why are we inventing all of these new characters in a realm where characters we know go when they die? There's a little bit of that, but it was like barely touched on. Instead, every zone had its own sub-political climate with entirely new characters that we were expected to start caring about, and that became the driving force of the story as a whole. So yeah, I would say it was somewhat disconnected. How disconnected it stayed, I can't speak to, because I noped out after like the first 0.1 patch.
Okay, so there was no like tier system of heaven, hell kind of business. Like, you didn't go to Fae if you were good. You didn't go to next level was like Vampire Land, and if you were real bad, you ended up in. Because I know Garrosh was like locked up in one of those places. I watched that cutscene.
No, you did go to certain lands based on your deeds.
Okay,
because Vampire Land was I think one of the worst areas to end up in if you didn't go to the Maw. And so Garrosh ended up in the Vampire Land in Revendreth. And I was fine with all that. My issue, like, I agree with Jesse's video here, but my issue with Shadowlands was more like you have a beautiful setup to actually tell new lore with fan servicey elements, and I think you were just so afraid of fan service you didn't even try to work with existing beloved characters.
Oh, that's an interesting thought.
I see Shadowlands as a coward's story. I think they were afraid of what they had, or I see it as so much new blood in World of Warcraft that they were so desperate to tell their own story they completely just didn't think about giving the invested player base a story they actually wanted.
That's fascinating because of our critique of Heroes of the Storm. As much as we love that game, the maps being based on new ideas when we all just wanted to go to Char and fight in a Zerg lava environment was weird.
Yeah, I think I honestly think a better way of comparison is comparing a modern World of Warcraft with the new Star Wars trilogy. Because I think it's new blood trying to do their own thing and angering the existing fan base in the process.
It's an interesting comparison.
Yeah. Now, granted, there's some shit about new WoW I quite like, and I actually like more new Star Wars than I dislike. But looking at it as a general thing, like, why are we making people so mad? That's the going theory I've got to give you.
Okay, cool. So it looks like we have another summary of Shadowlands on the back end here.
Gotcha. Cool.
Even the universe itself in time will come to a dark, sad end. And so they join together for one final song to end suffering and despair and to grant one final kindness, oblivion. Like I said, it gets dark. And I'm sure by now you're like, okay, Jesse, I get it. So the difference is essentially you're fighting the concept of death in Warcraft and the concept of despair in Final Fantasy XIV. And the reason 14 works so well is because you gave a detailed backstory, and it makes it hit home why it's important. And you would be totally wrong Because the reason 14 is better has nothing to do with the backstory of the villain. Your character has spent numerous expansions facing hopeless situation after hopeless situation, always emerging victorious. It's a theme of the game that you aren't just a mere adventurer anymore. You're a beacon of hope that lights the way for others. Your actions, even the smallest of kindnesses, inspire others to be better. And now you're probably like, okay, so there's a lot of emotional resonance that connects this expansion back to older expansions. But even that's not the complete answer, because the real reason this boss works is something I think the developers picked up on early in telling this story. Creating a moment like this to end a 10-year story arc in an MMORPG where everyone's experience is a little bit different, the only way to deliver that boss fight is to, 1, acknowledge this journey was never about the character. It was about you, the player, who's going through your own shit, your own struggles, and the entire expansion is an acknowledgement that despite any despair in your own life, you're still here. And 2, fan service. Lots of fan service. So put together, what does that mean? Well, it's another trope, but honestly, it's one of my favorites. The game reminds you that everything you've done up until now has mattered, and every person you've met, just like in real life, walks away with an impression of you. And in this game, you leave a great impression, because as the final day approaches, the people of the world unite behind you, friends and former enemies, to help rocket you to the stars. Hell, even the primals, the very gods you've gone up against countless times, offer themselves up to power your ship to the stars. And don't even get me started on the final zone. It is designed to make you cry. A tribute to all who have given so much to help your character get there. Their voices cheering you on to the end. So it should come as no surprise that when you stand there, 1v1, facing the Endsinger, you're interrupted by your arch nemesis, a character you've been battling for some time now who just wants one final throwdown with you. And there he is, totally confused as to how on earth this thing is still alive.
I take it this is your prey. But why does it still live? Surely it is no match for you.
It's a great moment.
It might be my single favorite moment from Ultima
So
Thule.
not as despair.
He sees this fight for what it is. Nothing that can stop you.
So come, let us dispense with this distraction, you and I.
And so we ride into the final boss fight on the back of our arch nemesis to a medley of previous final boss music. The final encounter of Endwalker isn't about the boss, it's about you. The road that you've walked, the hours and hours you, the player, have put into the game. The musical medley is a reminder of that. But like any good final boss fight, there's a second phase. But this isn't their second phase. The Endsinger thinks they killed us. This is our second phase. And the boss music is our theme song. Yes, it is literally a power of friendship moment, and honestly, it's perfect. And just like when you play a boss for the first time and don't know the mechanics and suddenly they gain all their life back, the Endsinger goes from strategic attacks and throwing planets at you to now wildly flailing in order to prevent the light from engulfing it. Because despite knowing that the Endsinger may be correct, that in the end we all fade away, you never lose hope. The Final Fantasy XIV writers saw what they had to do, make this trope about another big bad who's way worse out there, and not only did they set out to deliver a backstory, but they also made it clear that that part wasn't even all that important, because the real story is acknowledging where you started, where you've been, and those you've met along the way. The good, the bad, all of it. Not just in a video game, but in your life. And that shit is universally beautiful. And so we circle back to World of Warcraft, which seems
That's beautiful.
lacking in comparison.
That's freaking beautiful. Well, that'd be the moment you talked about, right? And look,
Yeah.
he even made a montage of all the times this guy visited. That's freaking beautiful.
So we circle back to World of Warcraft, which seems lacking in comparison. But because of who I...
Okay. Before he gets into WoW, there's a fascinating experiment to do, rewatching that entire segment. You know, what was that, the last 10 minutes or so?
Right.
As a World of Warcraft fan. And imagining you have no idea what he's talking about. And
there's a lot of mental gymnastics to do because I have Dragonflight in my head. But thinking about, I didn't really. I guess Dragonflight was already out, but barely.
Like you can see the YouTube comment being like, "Ugh, he looks so bored." 14 minutes 10 seconds. Whereas we know he is fathoming his existence.
That
you know,
you might as well show a picture of Jesse reading a thick novel.
Yeah.
Like it's the same level of that's how much investment is in this and how much of yourself you have to bring to the party.
That's true.
And it's okay if that's not what you want. But it also makes it really difficult to kind of fathom. It's hard to be on the outside looking in and Walker if you have like no 14 experience at all.
Yeah. I mean, granted, like bosses were still impressive. I mean, I was just looking at Asmongold playing Heavensward, being like, "Shit, look at those robots! Oh, I gotta try it. Why is this music playing? I gotta try this." And that got me to do it. Let alone seeing, you know, whatever bizarreness Endwalker may have had in store. It's just go for it.
Yeah, it's a conversation I think about often, and I still don't know what the hell to make of it. But it starts to bleed into my thoughts about the spoiler protective nature of the 14 community, and that sometimes I don't think it's as helpful as it is hurtful in terms of getting new players in, because different people are drawn in for very different reasons.
Well, and I watched this video and didn't retain any of it. You know, the 15 years of WoW, 1 year of Final Fantasy 14. I'm pretty sure ruby weapons in this thing. Like I definitely remember seeing, I'm like, oh, that thing has teeth. That's weird. You know, you're definitely going to retain some visuals, but you don't know the importance of, like, you know, these two individuals.
Yeah, I really do think to someone who hasn't played 14 at all that like anything's game, because it's going to take them so long to get through. I don't think it truly matters unless you really sit down and try and spoil them.
Well, yeah, we're talking across the internet, right? Like we all know individuals across our lives that can take different levels of spoiler. I mean, I have a guy in, you know, my phone, talk to him often, good friend of mine, but it's always like, it's not a spoiler, but, and then it absolutely spoils things. So you go, okay, thank you, Dan. I didn't read that. Like he goes too far just by nature.
Yeah.
But I think,
I don't.
But obviously the point that I think he is making here, which we have heard over the last 2 years, is that Final Fantasy 14 is your story. And World of Warcraft's is the faction leader's story. But then I think of this tweet I saw the other day of someone being like, I can't touch WoW. I started it and I spent my entire beginning gunning down orcs on the beach. This is an atrocious, horrible war crime of a game. And you're like, well, that's interpretation because it is World of Warcraft. And that's what we do in WoW, is we gun down orcs in mass. And then we gun down gnomes in mass, and it's how it goes. So everything's going to be interpreted by people differently.
Dude, does that person, like, what game do they play?
I think, and on the flip side too, you could say like, holy crap! Like, there's going to be something in the long chain of Final Fantasy that is disturbing to you, and you're going to find something in there where you're just like, oh, for me, it's like Yatsuya. I'm like, did we have to go here? Really, like this far? And they're like, yeah, no, we're going for it. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's again, it's why I say, like, I love the quote of triggers are not your fault, but they are your responsibility, because everyone has different triggers, and also the severity of what triggers you is completely different. Because calling cartoon orcs in World of Warcraft a war crime, that is like the most Twitter alarmist thing I've heard in a bit.
It's pretty pearl clutchy for sure. But
that person spends too much time on Twitter. 100%.
There, I mean,
Get off Twitter. It doesn't seem like it's healthy for you.
Then you get into like the reward feedback kind of thing of like, would you have been this person if your audience hadn't pushed you to be that person? Now you're this person. All sorts of you believe your own lies, kind of narcissist things that can happen. Anyway,
yeah,
in comparison, but because of who I am, I can't just let it sit at that. I have some ideas of how I would have changed Shadowlands. And trust me when I say I've thought about this. It's not even that complicated. I don't have to change the theme or even the overall structure of the expansion.
Oh, he's gonna fix
Shadowlands
it.
could have been roughly the same, except the focus always should have been on fan service. Just like a quick social experiment, if you'll allow me.
Okay.
You've died or taken a weird portal, you're in the afterlife. Is your priority going to be deep diving the political infighting and machinations of various factions? Or would you go find a lost friend or family member? Maybe plan a lunch date with a dead celebrity you always admire. Why they thought anyone would give a damn about the truly unimportant characters.
Okay.
Shadowlands is Back to the Future if Marty went and talked to the president of the United States instead of going on a quest with his dad.
With his own people that he knew in his own life and meeting Biff. Yeah, I mean, that's...
Shadowlands is what if Back to the Future sucked.
That is really weird. Because if WoW can be intensely fan servicey, that's why we have to watch Thrall. Or for me, it was Wrathion getting the killing blow on Blob Monster at the end of BFA. That pissed me off.
N'Zoth?
That was too far. We were the ones who were supposed to fight N'Zoth, and Wrathion just jumps in, and I'm not even a part of it. Like, that was my... There were many things, of course, that, the snowball was rolling.
WoW's always been about that. It's about the heroes, and it's not about you, the character.
But that is fan service, right?
But then they try and... Yeah. Like, if you liked Wrathion and you were invested in his war against N'Zoth, that would have hit different for you. But if you're more into like, no, I want to kill N'Zoth, yeah, I get how you got there.
Yeah, so you relate to the fan service and how you relate to it. Thrall killing Deathwing, yeah, that's one I hear a lot too. Right?
That's why Wrath of the Lich King is the greatest World of Warcraft expansion in the history of the entire game, because we got our cake and we ate it too with killing Arthas. We kill Arthas. That cutscene, it is after we have struck the killing blow, and it is just all about Arthas dying. But we still felt responsible for it, and we didn't watch Tyrion run up and smack him with the sword.
That's interesting.
We did that.
Yeah, I guess because everyone who's interacting with him was in the room or is dead, like his dad.
I think constantly. But we need to have John on and actually finally commit this conversation to something recorded, because John has mentioned to us that he thinks Final Fantasy XIV gives you closure every expansion, lets you have a victory lap, and it's something that World of Warcraft basically never lets you do. And I think Wrath of the Lich King and Burning Crusade were really the only two times they ever let us do that. We actually brought the Illidan arc to an end in Burning Crusade, and we actually brought the Arthas arc to an end at the end of Wrath of the Lich King. It doesn't matter that Illidan came back. Illidan as a villain in Burning Crusade had a satisfactory end in Burning Crusade, and the same goes for Arthas in Wrath of the Lich King. Every time after that, it's just like, Thrall kills Deathwing, Illidan kills Sargeras, Wrathion knifus N'Zoth.
Was that the
BC
knife he was using? Did he use that?
I think it was a knife.
We actually. Where'd he get that?
I don't think it was. I don't remember. I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah, fair. Not trying to make you
manage the afterlife. The focus of the expansion from the beginning should have been about giving a send-off to the characters players both loved and hated for the last 15 or 20 years. Just giving the players that little bit of closure on just a few storylines would allow them to finally work in all those other characters that have to sit on the sidelines for every other expansion. Also wrapping up plot points like, the giant sword, or the fact that everyone's favorite Draenei is now a literal genocidal maniac. So like I was saying, we don't even have to really change that much. We can work with the zones we were given. The plot of Bastion should have been about Arthas, Uther, and Jaina coming together and forgiving each other. Maldraxxus should have given us some amazing send-offs to heroes that we've known throughout the series, like Saurfang maybe meeting his son in the afterlife, Bane and Cairn getting closure. Hell, the group of them could have teamed up in that zone, and then it would have made the scene later where Anduin breaks free all that much more special.
God,
and then
that would have been
awesome.
Did they not? Why
No!
not?
Because they didn't do anything that anyone actually wanted them to do.
Okay, he's about to do the cutscene.
Have been his father. That's such a good emotional moment. All the support in his life helping him through that moment. Come on. Revendreth would have been about the villains we fought and potentially seeing another side to them. Maybe underneath all that hatred and anger and rage, there's some good in them. Except Garrosh, who is still an unforgivable giant piece of shit. But then seeing all these other people change, maybe even Arthas can be your guide through this area, add some even more weight to his character and his unwillingness to budge. And then Ardenweald, I honestly think what they have in the game already is pretty good, close to what I would have done, but it would have been entirely about
story, in my opinion.
Really? Oh, wow. Yeah. I look at this and I do not give a crap.
I'm a big Night Elf fan, and I think they were very true to like everything that was going on with the Night Elves up to that point.
So Night Elf stuff, okay.
They've been doing Tyrande pretty well in modern World of Warcraft, I think. I think they've been doing Tyrande pretty well, and I think they've been very smart to sideline Malfurion because he's a horribly boring character.
Oh, no, I'm not even talking about, I'm just talking about like this aesthetic isn't mine. I don't like little
I
bird
live for this
and,
shit. This is why I don't really like any of the forests in Final Fantasy 14 because they're very normal forests, and I'm like, give me something bordering on Avatar. Let's go. I need more bioluminescence.
Literally the SpongeBob meme where it's like, I'm gonna make elves live in the forest. Bold of you, sir, and they don't like dwarves. Feeling daring, are we?
Sometimes I want what I want.
No, and same thing happened, like the Garrosh thing. I'm like, yeah, he's a complete bastard. How fun. Like, you know, and there you get into people be like, well, you like, it's the same thing you do with Breaking Bad or Darth Vader is the big one for you, right? Where people go, you like Darth Vader? You're a monster. And I'm like, no, in a video game, I like the idea of beheading the enemies and putting them on catapults. I would not do that. It's messy. It's unhygienic.
How dare we have any way of discerning fiction from real life?
Just so
My
confusing.
God, I just can't believe. Oh, yes, every member of the 501st is a fan of war crimes. Yep. That's it. Yeah. You got it. You got it. You Twitter-brained nightmare person. All right, continue.
The people that she lost for giving her. We keep the dragon plot stuff, and we use that as a through line for the next expansion. Now, why did we do all this, Jesse, you may ask? Well, it all comes together in the final fight, where, again, because who gives a damn about the jailer, this moment is for you, the player. This guy thinks he's some unstoppable evil that's going to wipe out reality, but you are the champion of Azeroth, and this time, you brought your friends. Yes, I am 100% stealing from Final Fantasy XIV, but some of WoW's best stuff is stolen from other games. So as you're battling the jailer with your raid, imagine it looks like he's gonna wipe you, and then the music swells, and from the sides, Jaina and Arthas and Uther appear. But wait, that's not all. Tyrande and the countless wisps of Teldrassil descend from above. All the warriors of the past, we're talking your favorite characters from the beginning. They're coming through portals like it's Endgame. And just for good measure, Garrosh has been...
Never mind, keep this, because my joke is going to be about Garrosh.
A dick through the entire expansion, who probably, in my version, would have been the final boss of a raid or a dungeon. He comes through like no one's gonna end reality unless it's me, you son of a bitch. Can you even imagine how hyped this fight would be? And that's not even a detailed version, that's just an idea.
I was going to say, and then Sarafang and Thrall, they grab Garrosh and they launch him into the jailer like a projectile.
You ride Garrosh like Xenos. I mean, there's creepy things, right? And that's going to happen in any conspiracy theory. The hands of Sarfang and Varian going, and it mirrors the Heavensward moments and the little gemblies you're collecting, like the gemblies you collect from Emmet. There's always those like, stolen kind of things, but also badass is badass. So let's ride Garrosh into an explosion.
But that moment alone would have the fan base hyped for countless expansions to come because the payoff for caring was there. And it all comes back to that, really, acknowledging the people who play your game, especially in MMORPG, are your game. Without them, the world dies. It's okay to give your players something every now and again that says, we get you. And I truly, from the bottom of my heart, hope the new direction WoW seems to be headed with Dragonflight is the start of something new for the game. Because it's so sad that a game that I played for 15 years couldn't find a way to connect with me as a player in a setting that very much should have. Yet a game that I just started playing 2 years ago has managed to consistently and in unexpected ways do things that a lot of AAA game developers simply aren't willing to do. And so to stick with the theme, I hope to see great things from both these games in the future as we move into the next phase of their existence and beyond. And I hope you find the game for you. I hope you enjoy yourself, and I'll see you next time.
Well, I got some good news for you, Jesse.
Yeah.
I think I found a game for me.
Yeah, dude, that video's fucking fantastic.
Yeah, well said.
Freaking yeah. That's a good video. I didn't have much to say during the Endwalker recap because I just lived it. But
did anyone know like the after moment, like moments before disaster? What happened next to Jesse? Did he go try Dragonflight? Did he make any content about Dragonflight?
I have no idea, actually.
Or, I mean, kind of seemed to the final moment, too. He was like, just wishing everybody well, stop the war, and let the fandoms enjoy themselves, please.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm firmly in the enjoy what you enjoy. Like, if I had extraneous extra time right now, I'd probably be playing some World of Warcraft. I still, I'm dying to get you through some Wrath of the Lich King raids because I know you missed all that. I would love to do that with you.
Sure, yeah, it's that's a weird crime, and I always go eerily silent anytime you bring up killing the Lich King because I'm sure it is, and it's bucket
one
list.
of my absolute greatest moments in gaming. Absolutely, it is right up there with some of my highest highs from Final Fantasy 14.
Other than the vehicle stuff, that can die in a fire. I hate the idea of all that old
it was
stuff.
really cool the first time you did it.
Yeah.
And then when you had to farm the raid, like the first couple encounters in Old War, they got real old real fast. Because it's like, well, I chose this character in class to play this character in class, not to be a catapult.
Right. No, it's a mistake that every game designer makes. I've done it in D&D quite a few times. Nobody wants to lose control of their character for that long and in that important of a moment.
Did you give them a like? Did you give Jesse a like?
Oh yeah, I'm on my personal account here because I
like that video.
I pay for the premium and I'm already subscribed.
Well
Am
done.
I not subscribed? I'm not subscribed. I've subscribed.
You
I
monster.
know. Well, he didn't remind me to subscribe during the video, so.
And let this be a reminder to everybody here right now. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so.
Yeah, you can do that.
Please
do that.
Thank you.
I'm just giving.
Thank you for the subscription. Yeah, my last thought there is and we've had this talk with Jesse before, is that conversations, particularly comparing WoW to 14 around the time of Shadowlands, it also really makes me think of just the packaging of it, and that I was so surprised when I started playing 14 that there's a complete story on the launch day of an expansion. That doesn't mean the story's over, but there is a full arc. There's a full narrative arc from the first quest of the expansion to the final quest before any patches ever roll out, and I love that. I do, however, it doesn't make me. I'm not in one over the other camp. I do think I generally prefer the way 14 does it in that way. But as I was just saying that I thought BC and Wrath of the Lich King had very satisfying endings, they did roll their story out patch by patch in a classic World of Warcraft fashion, and I think it worked. I think both can work. But yeah, that's just my thought there. I love thinking about this because I love these types of games, and I love thinking about the different ways that you can dish out narrative through an MMO. I'm pretty firmly in the both is good camp of. I like that 14 launches with a whole friggin' story that you can enjoy on day one if you have an insane amount of hours. But I also think at times that has worked to WoW's benefit to do the opposite. So, yeah. And it's interesting.
I have scrolled to the bottom of the comments because I'm insane like
why?
Because I'm always a little curious.
Don't give you. You shouldn't give these people.
They're not on screen. They're not on screen.
Oh, I can see it. So I didn't know you weren't showing it anymore.
Oh yeah,
I just assumed you were still showing this.
The stream can't see this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's one.
People accusing him of ripping off Bellular. Ah, yeah, my favorite.
Yeah.
My favorite kind of fanboy, the fanboy that defends other content creators on their behalf.
Well, I think Bellular is kind of in the South Park Simpsons kind of war. Like, you can't rip off Bellular. He's done a video like every day for 7 years. You can't come up with a topic he hasn't covered. It's just I applaud that man's work ethic because he has at it. Here's one, and this one like speaks a lot to exactly what I was talking about. Like, Endsinger was hot trash. Absolutely did horrible war crimes. I'll take Jailer, who's more fun anytime. And you're like, okay, and that's a paraphrase, of course. But like, yeah, I mean, there's people who are just gonna, not respond to a certain comment. I was just content. I was curious. Wow, bad. Final Fantasy good. Saved y'all 20 minutes. Those are always fabulous comments to receive when on your behalf, somebody sums up your video.
Just
All right, I'm putting it away.